It's another edition of Time About the Movies. We're looking at the movies of May 8th, 1992. As you can kind of see here, I'm kind of half-assing it today. I didn't have my lighting equipment up here. But honestly, this week is not really anything special. We have 5 movies to look at, and most of them are pretty forgettable, so we're just going to go through this real quick. So let's go ahead and start with the biggest new release this weekend. And if this is the movie that's the biggest new release this weekend, is this really a good weekend whatsoever? It's Goldie Hawn in Crisscross.
It was a summer to remember in Key West, Florida. The war, the heat, the men on the move. Tracy did whatever she could for her son.
Get home by 6 o'clock. What for?
The only way she knew how.
Because I said so. If I make as much money as you, will you quit your job? Don't you think I'm awful young to retire?
Every turn she took with him.
I think you'd make a terrific marine biologist. All right.
What would make you happy?
A couple of things.
You want a future for yourself and the kid. You're gonna have to bump and grind for it.
Every choice she made for him.
Now I'm all you've got. And I'm looking out for your future, Chris.
Tell me when you don't like it.
When she forgets she's a mom.
Every bridge he had to cross, she crossed too.
Oh, and you and Dad can be back together. No, you don't. You forget.
Goldie Hawn stars in a story about a single mother and her son.
You knew he was in trouble and you didn't say anything. Don't you get here, my son. Open the door!
It's not based on one true story.
Chris, we gotta talk.
It's based on millions of them.
Chris, are you listening?
2 lives joined at the heart. Crisscross.
I mean, really, is there anything here that you haven't seen on a Lifetime Movie of the Week or an ABC, CBS, NBC TV Movie of the Week? I mean, did that really need to be in a theater that weekend? I don't think so. I don't have anything else to really say about it. I mean, it's very straightforward on what it is. It doesn't look any good whatsoever. It looks like a script that Goldie Hawn took because her career wasn't as popular, wasn't as big as it was back in the day. I don't know if she was desperate for money or anything, but this does not look like a good movie whatsoever, and nobody went to go see this movie. So that's really all I got for you on this one. I really don't know what else you want me to say about this one. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie here, and that is another movie that nobody really was interested in seeing, but it came out anyway. Wild Orchid 2, 2 Shades of Blue.
In Wild Orchid, director Zalman King took you into a world of sensuality, a world of discovery, the world of Rio de Janeiro and Carnival. In Wild Orchid 2, 2 Shades of Blue, he takes you into a world equally exotic, equally sensual, but much more dangerous.
A sequel that's not even based off of the original movie. It is literally an in-name only sequel. I mean, this movie literally is just 2 Shades of Blue, but because Wild Orchid was such a big success, it has to be Wild Orchid 2, even though it has nothing to do with the first movie. And again, what else can you really say about this one? I mean, if you have to put a sequel a name to it from a previous movie to make it seem like it's a sequel to something when it actually isn't, that's desperation at its worst. It's desperation at its worst. And really, is there anything in here that looks remotely interesting whatsoever? No, not really. See, like I said before, we're moving through these pretty quickly because there's nothing about these movies that are interesting whatsoever. It's a movie that they stamped a name of a previous movie on. They tricked people into thinking that it was actually based a sequel to a movie that was not even that big of a success when the first one came out. But it is what it is. So there you go. That's 2 Shades of Blue. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie that we have here, and one of the notable movies that came out this weekend, and that was Drew Barrymore and Tom Skerritt in Poison Ivy.
So what are you busted for?
I gotta keep a certain grade point average. I'm slipping in biology.
My name's Sylvie Cooper.
Like most 15-year-olds, what Sylvie Cooper wanted more than anything else was a best friend.
Everybody hates me.
Oh, everybody hates me too. Do you want to come over?
Someone to talk to.
Wow, this is great.
Someone to understand her.
Oh, Ivy, this is my mom, Georgie.
Till death.
Someone like Ivy.
It's nice and cool in here. I missed my ride.
No.
Dad, she's my best friend.
But Ivy didn't just want a friend. Ivy wanted more.
I hope that when I die, I'll have owned a sports car, had a family, a home.
And she'd do anything to get it.
Hello, Mr. Cooper. Care for anything?
What the hell are you doing in my mom's car?
Will never happen again.
Please, stop!
Say it! I want to hear you say it! Are you accusing me of something?
Why did you do something?
No, Fred, come here. No, Fred, come here. We can all be together now. We can all be a family.
I mean, honestly, this is a concept that we've seen done over and over before. It was even sold, I think, as a teenage version of Fatal Attraction. And usually movies like this, they are what they are, but there was something interesting about this particular movie, and mostly I think it was because of Drew Barrymore, because, Drew Barrymore started her career off in E.T., and she became a big star after that. She got a lot of movies after that, Firestarter, Reconcilable Differences. We even looked at one of her earlier movies from the late 80s, Far From Home. But her career kind of faded off for a little bit, and then this movie comes along, and all of a sudden her career kind of gets back on track again, and really she's one of the reasons why this movie is actually kind of pretty good. Like, it is a very standard formula film. Like, you've seen this concept done over and over again, but really what makes it work is Drew Barrymore's performance in this. I mean, she really shows that she does have the abilities as an actress to really play something that's kind of out of her normal routine. It doesn't feel like she's being forced into this role. It feels like she really looked at this role and said, I can actually bring something to this, and it actually does work pretty well. Like, the rest of the cast in here is also very good. You got Sarah Gilbert from Roseanne at the time. Again, Tom Skerritt's in this movie, who was in 2 Shades of Blue, and Cheryl Ladd's in here. And there's nothing really all that exciting about this movie in terms of its story, but it works solely because of the performances, and you can actually buy this character, Drew Barrymore, as this villainous character. And it actually does work really well here. It's a movie that really does play with your expectations a little bit. It's actually a lot better than I think a lot of people would give it credit for. I'd say if you have an open mind to it, you should go into this movie and definitely check it out. I mean, it actually is pretty good. I haven't seen any of the other movies, the direct-to-video ones. I think there was one with Alyssa Milano in it. I think one of them had the girl from Little Giants in it. But like I said, I haven't seen those ones. But this one's actually not that bad. I would say definitely check it out if you want to see Drew Barrymore in actually a really good early role from her in the 90s. So that's Poison Ivy, one of the only 2 movies that I really saw this weekend. The other one is really the best movie that came out this weekend, and you probably never even heard of it. It's Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton in One False Move.
There was no fear in Star City, Arkansas. No murder. No killers. Until now.
Biggest violence we've ever seen. What's the story on this Star City? You think it'd be a wild goose chase if you went down there? Welcome to Star City, boys!
For Chief Dale Dixon, it's the chance of a lifetime.
Follow me! After 10 years of busting peeping toms and stop sign runners, I'd kind of like to take a crack at the big time. These are dangerous people we're dealing with. Get your hands up! Last night, some folks killed a Texas State trooper. Looks like they're headed our way, boys.
Yeah, I've never seen Bill this excited before.
It's waiting on the bad guys who had kid away for Christmas.
But his first shot at the big time
I think he looks at y'all like you're some kind of heroes.
Well, we're far from that.
might be his last.
We're gonna be cool. Damn, this could be a big one. We're gonna play it by ear.
Somebody's gonna die.
We're not gonna kill him unless we have to.
Sometimes the difference between living and dying is one false move.
So the story behind One False Move is that this was a movie that was originally intended to be straight-to-home video because it had such a low budget to it. But when they finished the film, the word of mouth got big for the film, so it convinced the studio that put this movie out, I.R.S. Releasing, to actually give it a full theatrical release. And it didn't do incredible box office. It didn't really do a lot, but it did become one of those little underrated gems that a lot of people don't really talk about. But when they finally see it, they realize that, hey, this movie actually has more to it than I ever would have expected. And that's really what I went into it, because I saw this movie when Siskel and Ebert talked about it in one of their older episodes, and it really convinced me to really check this movie out to see if it was actually as good as they said it is. And sure enough, it actually kind of was. It's directed by Carl Franklin, who would later go on to direct Devil in a Blue Dress with Denzel Washington, which is another one of his great underrated films. And like I said, this is one of Billy Bob Thornton's earlier films. He actually co-wrote this movie. And you also have Bill Paxton, Cinda Williams is in here as well. And it's a really good movie. It's a great screenplay written by Thornton and Tom Epperson. And the tension and the mystery is very interesting. You want to see how these characters are going to react to what's going to happen in this scene, because you have this detective who's waiting for this group of killers to come into town, and the tension really is very good. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. It makes you want to see what's going to happen next, and it's a really good movie. I don't want to give away too much about it, but it's definitely worth it. If you can find this movie, if you can probably find it on YouTube or stream it somewhere, but definitely check it out. It's definitely worth your time, especially if you want to see some great work by Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton. This is one of their most underrated films, and a great film by Carl Franklin. I can't recommend this movie enough. One False Move. Definitely check it out. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Incident at Oglala.
Was the worst outbreak of violence on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation since the 71-day siege at Wounded Knee 2 years ago. Police sources said the agents may have survived the initial gunfire, only to be executed later. Then there was another heavy exchange of fire. One Indian was shot dead. The rest of the Indians escaped.
3 Native Americans, Dino Butler, Bob Robidoux, and Leonard Peltier, would eventually be tried for the first-degree murder of the 2 FBI agents. No one was ever charged with the killing of Joe Stuntz.
I think this is the third movie that I've looked at from Michael Apted. We've already looked at a couple of other movies from '92, including a film from the Up series and the scripted film he did, Thunderheart. This is another documentary. This one is documenting the documentary is about the deaths of 2 FBI agents who were on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation on June 26, 1975, and they were killed in that fire. And there was also also killed in there was a Native American who was a member of the American Indian Movement, and his death prompted no legal action. The documentary kind of examines the legal case surrounding the trials between the killers, Robert Robideau and Darrell Butler, and later the separate trial of Leonard Peltier, who had to be extradited from Canada, and they were both acquitted of their trial, but Peltier, that's what his name is, Leonard Peltier, was convicted of murder in 1977, and they also discuss the tribal chairman Dick Wilson, and it's a lot of things going on in this documentary. I haven't seen it myself, so I can't really comment on it too much, but it's interesting. I mean, usually Michael Apted makes some pretty good documentaries, and this is one, and movies in general, and you have a narration by Robert Redford too. It does have a little bit of promise to it, but it's not one I'm going to rush out to see right away, but it's got my curiosity to it. Maybe one day I'll definitely check it out, but it's not something I'm in the rush to see right now. So, just want to acknowledge that it came out this weekend. It is Incident at Oglala. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time around, we actually get the summer movie season started early with a big action sequel. Richard Donner, Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, and Joe Pesci are joined by Rene Russo again for Lethal Weapon 3, the biggest new release to come out that weekend. We also have The Water Dance, Cabelza di Vaca, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Bill Paxton and The Vagrant, and also Ruben and Ed. So, 5 movies to look at next time around, so we will definitely delve into that next time. But until then, thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.